The council chamber floated in the darkness of space, a massive station that housed representatives from 47 different species. Inside the main hall, beings of all shapes and sizes sat in their designated sections. Some had scales, others had feathers, and a few existed as clouds of gas contained within special chambers. At the far end of the room, a single human sat alone at a small desk. Counselor Taman adjusted his formal jacket and watched as Overlord Vrath entered the chamber. The Krellian leader was massive, standing nearly 3 meters tall with dark green scales that reflected the chamber's lights. His yellow eyes scanned the room with predatory focus, and his tail swept behind him as he walked. Behind Vrath, 12 more Krellians marched in formation, their military uniforms decorated with medals from countless conquests. The session began with the usual formalities. High Chancellor Norvax, an insectoid creature with multiple arms, called the meeting to order. His voice echoed through translation devices that allowed all species to understand each other. Taman listened patiently as various council members discussed trade agreements and territorial disputes. He knew what was coming. For weeks, the Krellians had been making demands about human territory. Finally, Overlord Vrath stood. The chamber fell silent. Everyone knew the Krellian Dominion was one of the most powerful military forces in the galaxy. They had conquered 17 worlds in the past century. Species that resisted were eliminated without mercy. Honorable council members, Vrath began, his voice a deep rumble. I come before you today to resolve a simple matter. The human species occupies valuable territory in Sector 7. The asteroid belts surrounding their primitive world contain minerals essential to the Dominion's industrial needs. We demand that humanity surrender all mining rights immediately. Murmurs filled the chamber. Several species nodded in agreement. Humans were newcomers to the galactic community. Earth had joined the Council only 30 years ago, and most species still viewed them as backwards and weak. They had no major colonies, no powerful weapons, and no military reputation. Why should they control such valuable resources? Taman remained seated, his expression calm. He had expected this moment. Back on Earth, military commanders had warned him that humanity's peaceful approach to galactic politics would eventually be tested. Now that test had arrived. High Chancellor Norvax gestured toward Taman. The Council recognizes the human representative. Counselor Taman, how does Earth respond to this demand? Taman stood slowly. He was average height for a human with dark hair starting to gray at the temples. Compared to the massive aliens around him, he looked small and fragile. He knew this. He also knew it made others underestimate him. Earth declines this demand, Taman said simply. His voice was steady and clear. The asteroid belts in our system belong to humanity. They are not for sale, and we will not surrender them under threat. The chamber erupted. Several counselors shouted in surprise. Others laughed. Counselor Zephyros, a bird-like creature with blue and silver feathers, tilted his head in what might have been curiosity or concern. Overlord Vrath's eyes narrowed. You decline? Perhaps you do not understand your position, human. The Krellian Dominion has 300 warships. Your entire species lives on a single world. You have no colonies of significance. You have no allies. You are alone. We understand our position perfectly, Taman replied. He remained standing, his hands clasped behind his back. We also understand that the Council was formed to prevent exactly this kind of bullying. We will not be threatened into submission. High Chancellor Norvax raised several of his arms for silence. The Council must deliberate on this matter. We will vote on whether the Krellian demand has merit under galactic law. The vote took less than 10 minutes. 32 species sided with the Krellians. Only 8 supported humanity's right to refuse. 7 abstained. The message was clear. Humanity was expendable. If the Krellians wanted to take what belonged to Earth, the Council would not stop them. Overlord Vrath smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. The Council has spoken. I will be generous, human. You have 48 hours to evacuate your mining operations and surrender control of the asteroid belts. If you refuse, the Krellian fleet will remove you by force. We will teach your species what happens to those who defy the Dominion. Taman looked around the chamber. Most counselors avoided his gaze. They had made their choice. He took a deep breath and spoke clearly. Overlord Vrath, I urge you to reconsider. Attacking Earth would be a grave mistake. You do not understand what you are provoking. The chamber filled with laughter. Even some of the species that had abstained from voting seemed amused by Taman's warning. What could humanity possibly do against the mighty Krellian military? Vrath's laughter was loudest of all. A mistake? Please, human, enlighten us. What will your primitive species do? Throw rocks at our warships? We have conquered worlds far more advanced than yours. Earth will fall in days, perhaps hours. Your people will become servants of the Dominion, or they will die. The choice is yours. Taman gathered his documents and prepared to leave. Before he exited the chamber, he turned back one final time. I have delivered Earth's response. What happens next is on your conscience, not ours. You have been warned. As Taman left, he heard more laughter behind him. Only Counselor Zephyros remained silent, watching the human depart with what looked like concern in his alien eyes. Taman returned to the human delegation's quarters and immediately opened a secure communication channel to Earth. On the screen, Supreme Commander Jiwan appeared. She was in full military uniform, standing in the war room beneath the United Defense Force headquarters. They rejected our position, Taman reported. The Krellians will arrive at Earth in approximately 72 hours with a fleet of 300 warships. The Council has abandoned us. Jiwan nodded slowly. Her expression was grim but not surprised. Then we proceed with Protocol Omega. All defense forces are being mobilized. The asteroid defense network is active. Our stealth fleet is moving into position. Ambassador Hyunwoo is evacuating non-essential personnel from orbit stations. Commander, they think we are helpless, Taman said quietly. The entire council believes Earth will fall within days. Jiwan's expression hardened. Let them believe it. We have spent 30 years preparing for this possibility. The Krellians think they are hunting prey. They are about to learn that humans are not prey. We are the species that climbed to the top of our world's food chain by being smarter, more adaptable, and more ruthless than anything else on our planet. They do not know our history, Taman said. No, Jiwan agreed. They do not know that humans have fought each other for thousands of years. They do not know about our world wars, our nuclear weapons, our capacity for total warfare. They see us as peaceful and they mistake that for weakness. Admiral Minho is ready. Captain Yunji's stealth fleet is in position. When the Krellians arrive, they will learn what humanity is truly capable of. Taman ended the transmission and looked out at the stars. Somewhere in that darkness, 300 Krellian warships were heading toward Earth, confident in their superiority. He felt no satisfaction in what was coming. Humanity had joined the galactic community hoping for peace. But if war was forced upon them, they would fight with every weapon, every tactic, and every ounce of determination that had allowed them to survive on their deadly homeworld. The Krellians were about to attack Earth. It would be the last mistake they ever made. The Krellian fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system. 300 warships materialized in formation, their massive hulls bristling with weapons. Each vessel was larger than anything humanity had built, covered in armor plating that had withstood attacks from dozens of alien species. War Master Krell stood on the bridge of the flagship, watching the tactical display with satisfaction. Scan the system, he ordered. Locate all human defensive positions. A junior officer worked the controls. War Master, we detect 53 human vessels. Most are small frigates and destroyers. The largest is approximately half the size of our smallest cruiser. No significant orbital defense platforms detected. No weapon signatures that pose a threat to our shields. Krell's tail swished with pleasure. 53 ships against 300. The humans are even more pathetic than intelligence reported. Open a channel to their homeworld. The communication system activated. On the screen, a human female appeared. She wore a dark blue uniform with stars on the shoulders. Her expression was calm, almost bored. I am Admiral Minho of the Earth Defense Force, she said. You are entering human sovereign space without permission. Turn back now, Krell laughed. I am War Master Krell of the Krellian Dominion. Your species has 48 hours to surrender control of all asteroid mining operations and submit to Dominion authority. Failure to comply will result in the complete destruction of your orbital infrastructure and military forces. Resistance is futile. Admiral Minho did not seem impressed. You have made a terrible mistake coming here, War Master. This is your last chance to retreat with your fleet intact. The channel closed. Krell stared at the blank screen in disbelief, then roared with laughter. The arrogance! They actually believe they can threaten us. All ships advance to attack formation, destroy their pathetic fleet, then target their orbital stations. Show these primitives the price of defiance. The Krellian fleet surged forward. Their ships formed a massive wedge, a tactic that had broken the defenses of countless worlds. Weapons charged, shields powered to full strength. Within hours, they would be in weapons range of the human vessels clustered near Mars. Captain Yunji sat in the command chair of the stealth destroyer Silent Thunder. Her ship and 19 others like it had been hiding in the asteroid belt for 3 days, their advanced stealth systems making them invisible to Krellian sensors. She watched as the enemy fleet approached, their formation tight and their confidence obvious. "All ships, this is Silent Thunder," she transmitted on the encrypted channel. "The Krellians are exactly where we predicted. Execute Phase 1 on my mark." The Krellian fleet passed through the outer asteroid belt. They paid little attention to the rocks floating around them. Their shields could easily deflect any natural debris. They did not notice the thousands of small objects that were not asteroids at all, but mines equipped with stealth technology and powerful magnetic clamps. "Mark," Captain Yunji said quietly. The mines activated. Thousands of them swarmed toward the Krellian ships, attaching to their hulls in clusters. For 3 seconds, nothing happened. The Krellians did not even detect the attack. Then the mines exploded. Shaped charges designed by human military engineers tore through armor plating at precise weak points. Explosions rippled across the Krellian formation. Shields that were calibrated to stop energy weapons were useless against physical attacks from objects already attached to the hull. 27 Krellian ships exploded outright. 40 more suffered critical damage, their hulls breached and systems failing. The tight formation that had been their strength became a weakness as debris from destroyed ships collided with their neighbors. "All ships, Phase 2, Admiral Minho transmitted from her flagship near Mars." The human fleet that the Krellians had dismissed as insignificant suddenly came to life. Small, fast destroyers accelerated to incredible speeds, zigzagging through space in patterns no Krellian pilot could predict. They launched missiles, but not at the Krellian ships. Instead, the missiles struck asteroids throughout the belt, breaking them apart and sending massive chunks of rock tumbling toward the enemy fleet. War Master Krell gripped his command chair as his flagship rocked from impacts. "Return fire, destroy those human ships." But the human vessels were too fast, too unpredictable. They used the asteroids for cover, appearing and disappearing like ghosts. Krellian weapons fire destroyed rocks in empty space but rarely found their targets. Then the Mars defense stations revealed themselves. What the Krellians had thought were ordinary mining facilities suddenly opened up, exposing massive railgun batteries. These weapons did not use lasers or plasma. They fired solid metal projectiles at a fraction of the speed of light. The railgun slugs punched through Krellian shields like paper. The shields were designed to disperse energy, not stop physical impacts at relativistic speeds. Ships that had survived the mine attack found themselves torn apart by metal, projectiles traveling so fast they glowed white-hot. "Sergeant." Doyen watched from the Mars Station Command center as the railguns fired continuously. Each shot took enormous amounts of power, but the station had been building up reserves for weeks. He had trained for this moment, running simulations of defending against superior forces. Now those simulations were real. "Target their cruisers first," he ordered his gunnery crews. "Take out their heavy hitters." Another wave of railgun fire tore through the Krellian fleet. Ships that had conquered 17 worlds exploded like toys. The Krellians tried to retreat, but they were surrounded by asteroids and debris, their formation in chaos. Captain Yunji brought Silent Thunder out of hiding. Her stealth destroyer fired a spread of torpedoes directly at the Krellian flagship. The torpedoes were equipped with penetrator warheads designed to burrow into a ship before detonating. War Master Krell saw death coming. "Evasive action! All power to shields!" It was too late. 4 torpedoes struck the flagship's engine section. The explosions tore through the massive ship, ripping it in half. Krell's last thought was that this was impossible. Humans were supposed to be weak, primitive, helpless. Admiral Minho watched the tactical display as the Krellian fleet disintegrated. The battle had lasted only 40 minutes. 127 Krellian ships were destroyed. Another 93 were crippled and drifting. The remaining 80 vessels were fleeing in disorder, their formation broken and their confidence shattered. "All units cease fire," Minho ordered. "Let them run. Let them report what happened here." She opened a communication channel on all frequencies, knowing the surviving Krellians would hear it. "This is Admiral Minho to all Krellian forces. You came to our home. You came with threats and demands. You thought we were weak because we chose peace. That was your mistake. Tell your overlord what you saw here. Tell him what happens when you attack Earth. Tell him that if he wants war, humanity will bring war to his doorstep. Now get out of our system." The surviving Krellian ships jumped to faster than light speed, abandoning their damaged comrades. They fled back toward Krellian space, carrying news of the impossible defeat. General Yuna arrived at the Mars Command Center hours later. She found Sergeant Doyen and his crew celebrating their victory. She let them enjoy the moment before calling them to attention. "Well done, all of you," she said. "But this is just the beginning. The Krellians will not accept this defeat. Overlord Vrath will demand revenge. We need to prepare for the next phase." "What is the next phase, General?" Doyen asked. Yuna's expression was grim. "The Krellians came to us thinking we were prey. We proved we can defend our home. But if we want to end this war, we cannot just defend. We need to take the fight to them. We need to show the entire galaxy that humanity is not to be threatened." Back on the command ship, Admiral Minho received reports from all sectors. Human casualties were minimal. A few damaged ships, some wounded personnel, but no deaths. The Krellians had lost nearly half their fleet without inflicting any real damage on Earth's defenses. She thought about the Krellian War Master who had threatened Earth so confidently. He was dead now, killed by tactics and weapons his species had never encountered. The Krellians had fought many wars, but they had always relied on superior firepower and intimidation. They had never faced an enemy that used guerrilla tactics, that turned the environment into a weapon, that fought smart instead of fighting fair. Humans had spent thousands of years fighting each other on Earth. They had learned every dirty trick, every tactical innovation, every psychological weapon. They had split atoms and built bombs that could destroy cities. They had developed strategies for fighting when outnumbered, outgunned, and desperate. The Krellians had military might. But humanity had something more dangerous. They had experience with total war. They knew how to fight when survival was at stake. They knew how to adapt, improvise, and overcome. Admiral Minho composed a message to be sent to the Galactic Council. It was time for the galaxy to understand what they had unleashed. The Council had abandoned humanity, expecting Earth to fall quickly. Instead, humanity had just won one of the most decisive military victories in galactic history. The message was simple. Earth remains free. The Krellian fleet has been destroyed. Any further attacks will be met with overwhelming force. Humanity did not want this war. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was unlike any in the organization's history. Every representative was present, their attention focused on the massive holographic display at the center of the chamber. The display showed battle footage from the engagement at Earth, transmitted by the surviving Krellian vessels. High Chancellor Norvax watched the footage for the third time. His compound eyes tracked every explosion, every tactical maneuver, every impossible human victory. Around him, other counselors sat in stunned silence. The bird-like Counselor Zephyros had his head tilted in a posture of deep concern. Overlord Vrath stood before the council, but he was not the confident conqueror who had threatened Earth a week ago. His scales seemed darker, and his yellow eyes held a mixture of rage and something that looked like fear. 300 ships, Vrath said, his voice hollow, the finest vessels of the Krellian Dominion. 127 destroyed, 93 crippled beyond repair. We lost War Master Krell and 40,000 soldiers. The humans accomplished this with 50 small ships and some mining stations. A counselor from a gaseous species spoke through its translation unit. This must be an error. The Krellians have conquered 17 worlds. How could primitive humans defeat them so easily? They were not easy, Vrath admitted, the words clearly painful. They used weapons and tactics we have never encountered. Stealth technology superior to anything in the galaxy. Kinetic weapons that bypass our shields. They turned their own asteroid belt into a weapon. They fought like nothing we have seen before. The chamber erupted in discussion. Some species were terrified, realizing they had misjudged humanity completely. Others were calculating new political positions, understanding that the balance of power had shifted. A few seemed pleased, having long resented Krellian dominance. High Chancellor Norvax raised his many arms for silence. The council must understand what happened. Counselor Taman, the human representative, has requested to address us. Given the circumstances, I believe we should hear what he has to say. Taman entered the chamber. He walked alone, carrying a data tablet. His expression was neutral, but every species in the room could sense the change in dynamics. This was not the isolated human who had been laughed at a week ago. This was the representative of a species that had just shattered one of the galaxy's most powerful military forces. "Honorable counselors," Taman began, his voice calm and professional, "Earth did not want this conflict. We came to the galactic community in peace. We followed council laws, respected territorial agreements, and sought cooperation with all species. When threatened, we requested council support. That support was denied." He activated his tablet. The holographic display changed, showing new footage. This time it was not from Krellian ships but from human military archives. "I have been authorized to share information that humanity kept classified until now," Taman continued. "We did not share this because we hoped it would never be necessary. But the Council needs to understand what you have awakened." The footage showed scenes from Earth's history, massive armies clashing in muddy fields, aerial bombardments destroying cities, mushroom clouds rising from nuclear explosions, naval battles across vast oceans, tank divisions rolling through shattered landscapes, soldiers fighting in jungles, deserts, mountains, and frozen tundra. Intelligence Officer Suho appeared on the display. He was a young human male with serious eyes and military bearing. He had been part of Earth's delegation, but had remained in the background until now. "I am Officer Suho, Human Military Intelligence," he said. "What you are seeing is a small sample of Earth's military history. For the past 5,000 years, humanity has been in almost constant warfare. We have fought each other in every environment on our planet. We developed weapons that could destroy our entire civilization. We created tactical doctrines for every type of combat scenario." The footage continued. Chemical weapons, biological warfare research, submarine campaigns, guerrilla resistance movements, strategic bombing, siege warfare, cyber attacks, everything humans had invented to kill each other more efficiently. "Earth has experienced 2 global wars," Suho explained. "In the first, 10 million humans died. In the second, over 70 million. We developed nuclear weapons capable of ending all life on our planet. We built delivery systems that could strike any target anywhere on Earth within minutes. We created the concept of mutually assured destruction, where any attack would result in total annihilation of both sides." Counselor Zephyros spoke up, his voice shaking slightly. "You are saying that humans nearly destroyed themselves?" "Multiple times," Suho confirmed. "But we always pulled back from the brink. Not because we could not do it, but because we chose not to. Every weapon system you saw in the battle at Earth is based on technology we originally developed to use against each other. The stealth systems, the kinetic weapons, the tactical doctrines, all of it comes from thousands of years of human conflict." Taman stepped forward again. "The Krellians faced weapons designed to fight other humans. They faced tactics developed in thousands of wars. They faced a species that has thought about nothing but warfare and survival for its entire existence. We joined the galactic community hoping we could finally move beyond that history. You forced us to return to it." The chamber was silent. The weight of revelation pressed down on every being present. They had thought humans were weak because Earth had only one world, because humans avoided confrontation, because they seemed physically fragile. No one had asked why such a peaceful species had such advanced military technology. No one had wondered what kind of world would produce beings who spoke so casually about weapons of mass destruction. A counselor from a crystalline species spoke. "If humans are so dangerous, why did you not reveal this before? Why hide your capabilities?" "Because we wanted peace," Taman said simply. "We hoped that by being open and cooperative we could build trust. We hoped the galaxy had moved beyond the kind of violence that defined Earth's past. We were wrong." Overlord Vrath stepped forward, his pride overcoming his caution. "The Dominion will not accept this defeat. We will return with more ships, more weapons. We will show the galaxy that the Krellians cannot be humiliated by primitives." Taman turned to face the Krellian leader directly. "Overlord Vrath, I strongly advise against that course of action. What you faced at Earth was a defensive engagement using a fraction of humanity's military capability. If you attack again, the response will not be defensive. You threaten the Dominion?" Vrath roared. "No," Taman replied calmly. "I am informing you of reality. Earth considers itself at war with the Krellian Dominion. Under our military doctrines, that means we will take any action necessary to eliminate the threat. If you send more ships to Earth, they will be destroyed. If you continue hostilities, humanity will bring the war to Krellian space. We will blockade your worlds. We will disable your infrastructure. We will demonstrate exactly how humans conduct warfare when our survival is at stake. Officer Suho added more information. Our military analysis suggests that humanity can field 800 warships within 3 months. We have weapon systems that the Krellians have no defense against. We have studied their tactics, their technology, their psychology. We know how to defeat them. The question is not whether we can win a war with the Krellians. The question is how much destruction you want to experience before you surrender. High Chancellor Norvax finally spoke. This council made a grave error in judgment. We abandoned humanity when they requested our support. We allowed the Krellians to attack a member species. These actions violated the fundamental principles of the galactic community. Several councilors protested, but Norvax continued. However, the council cannot undo what has been done. The war between humanity and the Krellian Dominion must be resolved. Councillor Taman, what does Earth require? Taman considered carefully. Earth requires 3 things. First, recognition that we acted in self-defense and that our response was justified. Second, assurance that the Council will not interfere if the Krellians continue their aggression. Third, a formal apology for abandoning us in our time of need. Several councillors gasped. No one had ever demanded an apology from the Galactic Council. It was unprecedented. But the footage of human military capability was still playing on the displays, a reminder of what this species could do if pushed too far. Councillor Zephyros stood. I move that the Council grant all 3 of Earth's requirements. We failed in our duty. We must acknowledge this. Overlord Vrath's tail lashed in fury. The Council will not side with these primitives over the Krellian Dominion. We are the power in this galaxy! We will crush these humans and anyone who supports them. Taman looked at Vrath with an expression that was almost sad. Overlord, you still do not understand. Humanity does not want to crush the Krellian Dominion. We want to return to peace. But if you force this war to continue, we will do what is necessary. And when we are done, your people will remember for 1,000 years what happens when you attack Earth. The vote was called. 38 species supported Earth's requirements. Only 5 sided with the Krellians. 4 abstained. The Council had spoken. Earth's actions were justified, and the Krellians would receive no support if they continued the war. Fleet Admiral G1 stood on the bridge of the carrier Indomitable, watching as the human expeditionary force assembled in deep space. 200 warships, representing the largest military fleet Earth had ever deployed, floated in perfect formation. Each ship had been prepared specifically for offensive operations in Krellian territory. The crews had trained for months. The weapons had been tested and refined. Now it was time to end this war. All ships report ready, Admiral, the communications officer announced. G1 nodded. She wore the full dress uniform of the United Defense Force, but there was no ceremony in her expression. This was business. Necessary business, but business nonetheless. Open a channel to all ship commanders, she ordered. Faces appeared on her display. Human captains, commanders, and squadron leaders. Some were young. Others were veterans who remembered the early days of space exploration. All of them understood what they were about to do. This is Fleet Admiral G1, she began. In 1 hour, we will jump into Krellian space. Our mission is clear. Force the Krellian Dominion to surrender unconditionally. We will do this by demonstrating overwhelming military superiority, while minimizing civilian casualties. The Krellians started this war. We will finish it. All ships prepare for jump sequence. The fleet vanished from normal space, faster than light drives activated simultaneously, carrying 200 human warships across dozens of light years in moments. When they emerged, they were at the edge of the Krellian home system. Overlord Vrath was in his palace when the alarm sounded. He rushed to the war room, where his remaining military commanders were staring at tactical displays in horror. Report, Vrath demanded. Overlord, we have multiple contacts at the system edge. 200 ships. All human design. They are broadcasting a message on all frequencies. Fleet Admiral G1's face appeared on every screen in the Krellian home system. Her voice was calm, professional, and absolutely certain. This is Fleet Admiral G1 of Earth's United Defense Force. The Krellian Dominion attacked our homeworld without provocation. You have refused all peace offers. Therefore, Earth has no choice but to bring this war to your territory. We will give you 1 chance to surrender. Acknowledge your defeat, remove Overlord Vrath from power, and agree to peace terms. You have 12 hours to decide. The message ended. Vrath stared at the tactical display. His remaining fleet, less than 200 ships, was scattered across 3 systems defending colony worlds. He could not assemble them in time to defend the home world. The humans had chosen their timing perfectly. "Scramble all defensive forces," Vrath ordered. "Contact the colonial governors. Order all ships back to the home system immediately. Overlord, that will take days." "The humans are here now." Vrath's claws dug into the command console. "Then we fight with what we have. Send everything." "The humans will not take our homeworld." Commander Hayan watched from her stealth ship as Krellian vessels began launching from orbital stations. Her team of Special Forces operatives had been inserted into Krellian space weeks ago, during the council debates. They had spent that time studying Krellian computer systems, military networks, and communication protocols. "Time to work," Hayun said to her team. "Execute Operation Silence." Human hackers, using technology decades ahead of Krellian cybersecurity, penetrated military networks across the system. Communication channels scrambled. Targeting systems reported false data. Krellian ships found themselves unable to coordinate effectively. Some received orders to attack positions where no human ships existed. Others could not communicate with their escorts. Pilot Kyung led her fighter wing off the carrier's deck. 200 small, fast attack craft streaked toward the defending Krellian ships. Unlike the large warships, these fighters could dodge point defense systems and deliver precision strikes. "Gold Squadron, target their weapon systems only," Kyung transmitted. "We are not here to kill. We are here to disable. Make every shot count." The fighters swarmed over the Krellian defensive fleet. Missiles struck shield generators, knocking them offline. Lasers carved through weapon turrets. The Krellian ships fought back desperately, but the coordination problems caused by Commander Hayun's cyber attack made their defense chaotic. Dr. Isol watched from the medical ship. Mercy. She was a xenobiologist who had spent years studying alien species. When the war began, military command had asked her an unusual question. Could she develop non-lethal weapons specifically targeting Krellian biology? She had answered yes. Now those weapons were being deployed for the first time. Human ships fired special gas canisters at Krellian vessels. When the canisters punctured hulls and released their contents, Krellian crew members immediately lost consciousness. The gas was harmless to other species, but triggered a sleep response in Krellian nervous systems. Within minutes, entire ships went dark as their crews collapsed. Admiral Jiwan watched the tactical display as the Krellian defense crumbled. "Ceasefire. Dispatch boarding teams to secure the disabled vessels. Medical teams ready to treat any Krellian wounded." The battle, if it could even be called that, was over in less than an hour. 40 Krellian ships were disabled but intact. Their crews were unconscious but alive. Not a single ship had been destroyed. Krellian casualties were limited to a few injuries when ships lost gravity during the fighting. "Phase 2, Jiwan ordered. "Marine assault forces, you are cleared to land on the 3 military colony worlds. Remember the rules of engagement. Military targets only. Minimize casualties. No destruction of civilian infrastructure." Transports carrying human marines launched toward 3 Krellian colony worlds that housed major military installations. Sergeant Doyen, who had distinguished himself at Mars, was part of the assault force heading to the colony called Krell Prime. The landing was unopposed. Krellian colonial defense forces had seen what happened to the home system fleet. Many chose to surrender immediately rather than fight. Those who did resist found themselves facing human soldiers who fought with a combination of overwhelming firepower and surprising restraint. Doyen led his squad through a Krellian military command center. They encountered armed Krellian soldiers who opened fire. The humans returned fire with precision, targeting weapons and extremities rather than killing shots. Krellian soldiers fell wounded but alive, quickly treated by human combat medics. "Secure this level," Doyen ordered. "Medical team, treat these soldiers." Translator, inform them they are prisoners of war and will be treated according to galactic conventions. A young Krellian officer, wounded in the shoulder, stared at the human marine who was bandaging his injury. "Why do you help me?" "I tried to kill you," the medic shrugged. "War is about achieving objectives, not about revenge. Our objective is to end this war, not to kill everyone who fought us." Within 3 days, all 3 colony worlds were secured. Human forces controlled every major military installation. Krellian casualties were surprisingly light. Fewer than 2,000 deaths across all 3 worlds, with another 5,000 wounded. Given the scale of the operation, it was remarkably bloodless, but the psychological impact was devastating. The Krellians had based their entire identity on military dominance. They had conquered 17 worlds through brutal force. Now a species they considered primitive had defeated them in every engagement, and had done so while showing mercy. Back in orbit around the Krellian homeworld, Admiral Jiwan received reports from all fronts. The operation was proceeding exactly as planned. Now came the moment of truth. "Open a channel to Overlord Vrath," she ordered. Vrath appeared on screen. He looked smaller somehow, his scales dull and his eyes filled with something humans knew well. Defeat. "Your fleet is disabled," Jiwan stated simply. "Your colony worlds are occupied. Your military forces are captured. You have no options left. I am authorized to give you one final choice. Surrender now, step down from power, and allow your people to negotiate peace, or we will be forced to take more aggressive action." "What action?" Vrath asked, his voice hollow. "You have already won. We have demonstrated we can defeat your military without significant bloodshed," Jiwan said. "But if you refuse to surrender, our orders are to begin orbital bombardment of military production facilities on your homeworld. We have mapped every military target on your planet. We can destroy them all within hours. We would prefer not to. The choice is yours." Vrath looked at something off-screen. Jiwan imagined him seeing his defeated fleet, his occupied colonies, his broken military pride. She felt no joy in this moment. War was never glorious, even when necessary. "We surrender," Vrath said quietly. "The Krellian Dominion surrenders to Earth." "You personally must step down from leadership," Jiwan insisted. "Your people deserve leaders who will not throw away thousands of lives for pride." Vrath's eyes flashed with anger, but he was in no position to argue. "I will step down. But know this, human. You may have won this war, but the galaxy will fear you now. They will see what you are capable of. They will see that we are capable of defending ourselves and achieving our objectives with minimal loss of life," G1 corrected. "We could have destroyed your entire fleet. We could have bombarded your worlds from orbit. We could have killed millions. We chose not to. We chose victory with honor. If that makes the galaxy fear us, so be it." 3 months after the Krellian surrender, the Galactic Council chamber looked very different. Additional seats had been added to accommodate observers from species that wanted to witness the historic peace negotiations. Security had been increased dramatically, with human military personnel working alongside Council peacekeepers. The atmosphere was tense but respectful. Councillor Taemin entered the chamber accompanied by Ambassador Hyunwoo and a new face. Chancellor Bongsu, wearing the uniform of Earth's military diplomatic corps. The 3 humans took their seats, which had been relocated from the isolated corner to a position of prominence near the High Chancellor's platform. High Chancellor Norvax called the session to order. His voice carried weight it had not possessed before. The Council's credibility had been severely damaged by their abandonment of Earth, and everyone knew it. "The Council recognizes the gravity of recent events," Norvax began. "The war between Earth and the Krellian Dominion has concluded. Former Overlord Vrath has been removed from power and faces trial for war crimes. The Krellian people have established a provisional government. Today we formalize the terms of peace and address humanity's concerns regarding the Galactic Order." Councillor Zephyros, who had become Earth's most consistent ally, spoke next. "The Council must first acknowledge our failure. We abandoned a member species when they requested our support. We allowed aggression to proceed unchecked. This violated the fundamental principles upon which this Council was founded. On behalf of the Council, I offer Earth a formal apology." The apology was broadcast across the galaxy. Species who had sided with the Krellians sat in uncomfortable silence. Species who had abstained looked relieved that someone had finally said what needed to be said. The 8 species who had supported Earth seemed vindicated. Ambassador Hyunwoo stood to respond. He was older than Taemin, with silver hair and the bearing of someone who had spent a lifetime in difficult negotiations. "Earth accepts the Council's apology. However, words alone are insufficient. The events of the past months have revealed serious flaws in the Galactic Order. We propose reforms." He activated a holographic display showing a detailed proposal. "First, Earth requests a permanent seat on the Council's Security Committee with veto power over military actions. Second, we propose new protocols preventing any single species from threatening another without Council intervention. Third, We recommend the establishment of a mutual defense pact, ensuring no member species faces aggression alone. Several counselors gasped. A permanent security seat was an enormous privilege, previously held only by the 5 founding species of the Council. Veto power meant humanity could block any military action they deemed unjust. It was an extraordinary demand. Earth also offers something in return, Chancellor Bongsu added. We will share defensive military technology with allied species. We will train Council peacekeeping forces in modern tactical doctrines. We will contribute ships and personnel to a new multi-species defense fleet designed to prevent future conflicts. The chamber erupted in discussion. Some species were enthusiastic about accessing human military technology. Others were nervous about giving humanity so much power. A few were calculating how to position themselves as Earth's allies. A counselor from a species that had supported the Krellians spoke up. Why should we trust humanity with such power? You have demonstrated frightening military capabilities. What prevents you from becoming a threat yourselves? Taman stood to address this concern. A fair question. Let me be clear about Earth's position. We did not want this war. We did not seek power in the galactic community. We were forced to reveal our capabilities because the alternative was extinction. Everything we have done has been in self-defense. He paused, looking around the chamber. But I understand your concern. Power without accountability is dangerous. Therefore, Earth proposes something unprecedented. We will voluntarily submit to Council oversight regarding our military deployments. Any offensive action beyond our home system will require approval from the Security Committee, where other species will have a voice. We ask for power, yes, but power bound by law and mutual agreement. Councillor Zephros tilted his head thoughtfully. You would give the Council authority over your military? In matters of aggression, yes, Taman confirmed. Earth will maintain the right to defend our territory without Council approval. But if we wish to conduct offensive operations, we will seek Council consensus. We want to be part of a galactic community, not its overlord. The debate continued for hours. Species caucused, forming new alliances and negotiating positions. Finally, a vote was called. The results were decisive. 42 species supported Earth's proposals. 3 abstained. Only 2 voted against, and both were close Krellian allies. High Chancellor Norvax made it official. The Council grants Earth a permanent seat on the Security Committee with the proposed powers and restrictions. Welcome, Councillor Taman, to the leadership of the galactic community. The formal treaty signing took place the following day. Representatives from Earth and the Provisional Krellian government met under Council supervision. Ambassador Hyunwoo led the negotiations with surprising gentleness, working to ensure the peace terms were fair rather than punishing. The final treaty included several key provisions. The 3 Krellian colony worlds that had been occupied would vote on their future status. They could return to Krellian control, become independent, or request human protection. Krellian military forces would be reduced to defensive levels and subject to Council inspection. Most importantly, the Krellian people would not be punished collectively for their former leadership's actions. The votes came in quickly. All 3 colony worlds chose to become human protectorates. The Krellian populations on those worlds had been treated well during occupation, better than they had been under their own military government. They trusted humanity more than they trusted their own provisional leaders. Chancellor Bongsu took on the role of coordinating the new multi-species defense force. He established headquarters on a neutral station and began recruiting officers from various species. The force would be small at first, only 50 ships, but it represented something new, a genuine military alliance based on mutual respect rather than domination. Training began immediately. Human instructors taught alien officers about tactical flexibility, asymmetric warfare, and the importance of logistics. In return, humans learned about technologies and perspectives from species with very different evolutionary paths. A Krellian officer named Drax, who had fought against humans at Earth, became one of the top students. Why do you teach us? Drax asked Chancellor Bongsu during a training exercise. We were your enemies, Bongsu smiled. You were our enemies. Past tense. Now we are building a future where war is less likely. That requires trust, and trust requires us to share knowledge. Your people made a mistake attacking Earth, but individuals like you are not responsible for leadership failures. You can help ensure it never happens again. 6 months after the war, Councillor Taman gave a speech to the full Galactic Council. It was broadcast across all member worlds, reaching billions of beings from dozens of species. The events of this year have changed the galaxy, Taman began. Earth revealed capabilities we had kept hidden, hoping we would never need them. We were forced into a war we did not want, but in fighting that war we also demonstrated something important. Humanity knows how to fight with honor. He paused, his expression serious. Humans are not warriors by choice. We are warriors by necessity. For thousands of years we fought each other on our homeworld. We developed terrible weapons. We caused immense suffering. But we also learned when to show mercy, when to choose peace, when to value life over victory. The chamber was silent as Taman continued. The Krellian Dominion thought we were weak because we avoided conflict. They did not understand that we avoided conflict because we knew what we were capable of. We chose civilization over chaos. We chose diplomacy over warfare. But when forced to fight, we fought to win, and we fought to minimize suffering. Counselor Zephyros spoke up. Many species now fear humanity. They see your military power and worry about the future. What would you say to them? Taman turned to face the chamber. I would say this: judge us by our actions. We could have destroyed the Krellian fleet at Earth. We did not. We could have bombarded Krellian worlds from orbit. We did not. We could have exacted revenge for their attack. We did not. Instead, we fought to achieve our objectives with minimal casualties. We treated prisoners with respect. We helped rebuild what was damaged. We turned enemies into potential allies. He gestured to where Krellian representatives sat. The Krellian people are not our enemies. A government that chose aggression was our enemy. Now that government is gone, the Krellian people have a chance to build something better. Earth will help them do that. Ambassador Hyunwoo added his perspective. The galactic community faces a choice. We can learn from what happened and build a stronger, more just system, or we can allow fear and suspicion to create new divisions. Earth chooses the first path. We invite all species to join us in building a galaxy where conflicts are resolved through dialogue, where the strong protect the weak, and where war is a last resort rather than a first response.